Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our October 12th work session. Up first today, we have a proclamation for Character Counts Week. So, whereas the next generation will be stewards of our communities, nation, and world in critical times, and the present and future well-being of our society requires an involved, caring citizenry with good character. And whereas the character of the nation is only as strong as the character of its individual citizens, and the public good is advanced when people are taught that good character counts in personal relationships, in the workplace, school, and throughout the community. And whereas Character Counts provides a framework of universal values that transcend culture, religious, political, and socioeconomic values through the 6 pillars of character: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. And whereas these pillars of character can be learned and modeled by the leaders of our community to improve interactions in our society among citizens of all ages, in turn fostering a higher quality of life and enhancing the image of our city. And whereas we count on our partners to help provide strong and constructive guidance for our citizens through Character Counts in our homes, schools, religious institutions, civic groups, and places of business and community gathering. And whereas the character and conduct of our youth reflect the character and conduct of society, therefore every adult has the responsibility to teach and model the core values, and every social institution has the responsibility to promote the development of good character. Now therefore, be it resolved with the support of the City Council, I, Emily Keller, Mayor of the City of Hagerstown, do hereby proclaim and recognize October 17th through 23rd to be Character Counts Week, and urge all city employees to seek out opportunities to incorporate these core principles into the work in parks and recreation activities, child care programs, community events, and I encourage all citizens, corporate and individual, to model these traits of good character and an ongoing commitment to promote character development and proper behavior throughout our community. So with us today, we have Carolyn Brooks from the Character Counts Coalition. Carolyn, if you could join me.
In 1999, 22 years ago, I brought Character Counts to Washington County in Hagerstown, and it seems like it was just yesterday, but we continue to partner with the public school system here, but the main thing that we try to get our community to recognize is that young people will only model what they see from us as adults. And so we focus this year on random acts of kindness, thinking and hoping that people will certainly try and do something nice for someone else each day. And when you think about that and do it intentionally, it will make a difference. What is it, a habit? After you do it 7 times, it becomes a real thing for you. So we continue to offer a scholarship to graduating students in the spring, and we also have an event where we recognize elementary youth. Youth from each school is selected, nominated, and we do a red carpet event. So while you may not see me all the time, just know that Character Counts is kind of working in the background because there's never a shortage of things to do. People need to learn to be more civil. So thank you. Thank you. We appreciate all that you do.
Up next, we have the Gold Leaf Award presentation. Rodney Tissue, come forward.
I think Dawn's going to make the actual.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Don Blair with the Mid-Atlantic chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture, and the ISA has a Gold Leaf Award, and the city of Hagerstown was nominated and accepted for this award, and you should know why. And that is the 2021 Arbor Day celebration really highlighted the synergy between the community, nonprofits, city departments, and the energy of the new mayor, Emily Keller. The city partnered with Antietam Conococheague Watershed Alliance, Hagerstown Youth Advisory Group, and the Maryland Forest Service to celebrate the day with the city's 35th Tree City USA presentation, a tree planting along a new Arboretum trail in the historic city park, which I think is celebrating its 100th anniversary, and a park cleanup. The long-standing commitment of the city for its tree resources and the current increasing momentum to include it in all aspects of city planning and community engagement is infectious. So it is my pleasure to present this award to who?
Rodney's probably appropriate.
All right. And congratulations to the city.
Thank you.
And if it was possible to get a picture.
Absolutely.
Right on. Here he comes.
Oh, there he is.
Here he comes.
It's like a
Yeah, I was
swami,
told, don't go
just
home
shows
without-
up.
Here's his cue.
I didn't remember.
All right. Up next, we have Benefit Buckets, a voluntary trash collection project. And we have Eric Dyke, the Director of Public Works, and Eden, I don't want to butcher your last name.
It's Teodorovic.
Okay, from a member of the Hagerstown Youth Council. Welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, thanks for having us in. I'll just do a quick overview and turn it over to Eden to explain what you wanted to do here. But Eden is a senior at North Hagerstown High School. She came to us with an idea with a kind of a voluntary cleanup project. I've met with staff in the Parks Department, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But for now, I'll turn it over to Eden, and she can explain what the project is.
So first off, I wanted to thank Mayor Keller and council members for providing me the opportunity to share this project and my passion. And at the end, I welcome any questions. So Eric already went and mentioned that I attend North Hagerstown High School. I'm in the International Baccalaureate Program and National Honor Society. I'm the captain of the varsity girls soccer team and track and field. I've led the team to multiple victories and just been a real leader for the team. I'm also an active member of Hagerstown Youth Advisory Council. During the 2020 to 2021 term, I was secretary, and now I am interim chair. And so I'm also the president of Empower, which is a student-led youth improvement and community improvement organization. We've done many projects serving the community, like two charity soccer tournaments. We've worked with St. Anne's and the Reach Center. And I'm also a co-founder of Mass for Me, which a friend and I donated reusable and environmentally friendly masks to Hagerstown's homeless population during the pandemic, which is still kind of going on. So it's an ongoing project. So an introduction, in the midst of early quarantine and COVID-19, when I first got my driver's license, I noticed I was drawn to the amount of litter in our parks and on our streets, and seeing the excessive litter made me pick up trash weekly for around the town. And so this led me to develop benefit buckets, seeing the large impact that I had to do, I had in a single action of picking up for the community. So benefit buckets or Hagerstown Bucket Project, it says there, but it's actually, this is an old presentation.
I apologize. She sent these to me, and she's updated the slides. What you have in your packet is the updated, has a little bit.
So
it's
that has the
changed a little
correct,
bit, so.
yeah, that has the correct information. This is just to help me. So the benefit buckets installs custom cleanup stations for park lovers to participate in litter control and turn a new leaf on litter control. As a way to help our local environment, on a park goer's next walk, they can grab a bucket as they enter the park, pick up trash as they take a stroll or enjoy the park benefits, and then dump the once they're done their time at the park, there's going to be a trash can accompanying each station, and so they will dump the trash in the trash can and then return the bucket in the station. And so these, as I mentioned before, would be placed at the entrances and exits of parks or beginning of trails to create visual awareness for them. So where this is already adopted, other communities, such as my vacation town in Jupiter, Florida, have already adopted this method. I observed this station during my vacation this year in early spring, and I wanted to give it a try myself. And it was a very, I guess, empowering moment for me. It made me feel as if I was making a difference already and beautifying the beaches with just a simple action of taking a bucket and cleaning it as I tan and enjoy the beach. And I believe that this is an effective way to involve the community in pollution control. Another example, Miss Kimberly Hine from the Antietam Conococheague Watershed Alliance, she's one of my advisors for this project, and she sent me a picture of a station similar to this in a beach in Maine, and it was more of like with baskets. And then another community, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, also has a similar station. So as you can see, many stations have already adapted this method to their communities, and it's been pretty successful. Bucket opportunities, I thought that another way to involve the community and the economy is by allowing local businesses to promote their businesses on the buckets. And so the Beach Bucket Foundation, which is in Jupiter, Florida, that it was filled with a lot of stickers for each business. And so they charge $250 for each sticker, but I guess a more reasonable amount would be like $40, I guess, an advertising fee. And this fee would also contribute to the fund for the aluminum signs on each station because those are pretty costly. And I've spoken to a dozen of Hagerstown local businesses, many of which were interested, some of them being Shula's and Hummus Mediterranean Grill. I would just need, I don't know if I need permission from you guys or just for you to okay it, but just allowing the local businesses to be involved in this project. And then the prototype. So I constructed the first prototype in August. This is a picture from my basement, which is currently sitting in. And Habitat for Humanity Restored donated the lumber, and it's repurposed, so it was lumber that they used before, and they just, instead of throwing it away, they let me use it. And then Lowe's provided the stain, screws, sanders, and paintbrushes. Habitat for Humanity also provided the buckets, and they got stickers for me and themselves. So all the businesses like Lowe's and Habitat for Humanity, I allowed them, since they contributed to my project, I let them promote their businesses on the bucket. And this is not part of that, but on that presentation. But a possible location, I spoke to some Parks and Recs representatives, and they mentioned that the cultural trail would be a good idea to, I guess, test it out, because the city parks are fairly well maintained by the Parks and Rec. So the cultural trail is a good option, I believe. And some questions or concerns that you may have. Who will need to help with each station's construction? Parks and Rec already agreed to help me construct to those stations. And then we would do this as a trial on the cultural trail, and this would serve as a period of time where issues or need for adjustments would surface. If more stations are needed, Mr. Deacon, is it Dikey?
Dikey, that's okay.
I always mess it up.
It's Eric.
Okay, Mr. Eric, and other Parks and Rec representatives agreed to empty trash cans for the trash cans accompanying the stations. And then who will be maintaining the station? That answers that question. And would anyone be willing to fund this initiative? For the sign and additional stations cost, I don't know if it's like permits that I need to pay for, but for the sign, we kind of had that figured out if I have permission to involve the local businesses to pay for the stickers and advertising fee. That way, those costs would pay for those aluminum signs, which I've talked to CopyQuick, and it would probably be like $80 for each station sign. So that will add up if we implement more stations. Okay, that is the last slide on this one, but there's more on there. Does anyone have any questions?
No, brilliant.
Yeah.
Make me feel like
So-
a slacker.
Yeah.
So basically, we'd have a cleanup station where anybody that comes to a park or where we're gonna place these can pick up a bucket, and while they're walking the park, or having a good time, they can just kind of use the bucket as a collection device or tool, and then take the bucket to the trash can when they leave. So I met with park staff, and our parks are very well maintained. We have a lot of staff there. So we talked about trying this on the cultural trail, which is more of a linear park, but it's not that we have staff there all the time. We thought being in the downtown, that might be a good place to start. So we'd like to do this place, her prototype at the beginning of the trail, which is on Antietam Street by District Court, and then build another one that would go like on Antietam or Baltimore. And because it's a linear, you could take the bucket from one, point A to B and kind of back and forth. We'd secure it to the trail so it can be easily tipped or moved and that sort of thing. My real concern had to do with the stickers. We're trying to keep this as simple as possible. If she gets the sponsorships and stuff, we didn't know if that'd be an issue or not with mayor and council, but really, I think it's a great project. More than willing to try. Our staff can make some additional, and if it works well here, we can make some additional stands, and she can go get some more buckets and wherever we need to do, and we'll place at some other locations.
I'm
Really
in.
cool. I'm in.
I am beyond impressed. I mean, I think
Thank you.
it's fantastic. And I do have a question. When people are picking up trash, a lot of them understandably are concerned, with touching things and whether there's gloves or grabbers or anything like that. Did Jupiter, Florida, or did you notice that there was any other pieces of equipment to kind of aid in picking up trash?
No, it was just solely the station, but I think that, I was thinking especially during the beginning of quarantine and COVID, I would provide hand sanitizer and gloves, but I think just a hand sanitizer station would also be beneficial and may invite more people to use the station.
Okay. Do you have a plan for like a PSA, any kind of like marketing for it, or you just kind of let it stand for itself and people should know what to do?
Yeah, I actually have a couple that I forgot to mention. So Empower is doing a St. Anne's Environment event where we're basically inviting families and youth to educate them in a engaging way about the environment and what they can do to get involved already. And so at that event, I would be handing out flyers about the station and just promoting it. And I would also make an account specifically for this project and promote it on my social media and my friends and my peers. And I would, I guess, create a hashtag. I haven't decided what that is, but if they use the bucket, they can take a picture, send it to me, and I can post them using the station and the buckets and with the hashtag, or they can post it on their social media. And another thing that I wanted to address is, I guess, implementing this as soon as possible, because with decreasing temperatures, the park goer usage would go down. And so if we got it with warmer temperatures, I feel like we would get the most use out of it.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I would offer, we have quite a bit of followers ourselves, so I'm gonna ask if you guys can also share and help get the message across, and we can take pictures in front of the buckets. I actually pick up the trash too, not just for photo ops.
Yeah.
But
Or
we
rec-
can definitely
Yeah.
help promote this. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
And
and
our,
we could
and our,
even do a
we can put it on
video.
our website. And
Yeah.
our rec
Put it on the
staff
cable channel.
is heavy on Facebook, so they can also look
Yeah.
at it. So we have a number of ways to promote it.
Yeah, Emily's got
Yeah.
4,000 followers, so probably want
Yeah,
to use that somehow.
She got a lot.
You're speaking my language with the hashtags and pictures
Yeah.
and stuff.
And a TikTok, proud of you.
Definitely a TikTok.
Yes,
Yeah, I like it.
yes.
So another issue that I actually had a phone call from one of our citizens today that was complaining about excessive trash, like in the Western Heights area. And I know that's not an area that you were thinking of, but he was actually saying that there were kids that were causing this trash, like, I guess, students that were getting out of school and such.
It wasn't Eden.
I was hoping it wasn't you, but I just wanted to add. No, I just wanted to see if there's this solution is brilliant. So, but to also educate your peers in that you don't have to litter. It's kind of, we probably need to do some other things too, but I think that that's a big problem, that, kids are getting out of school and I don't know what they're doing with their trash, but they're upsetting the neighborhood. So definitely something that, starting things like this and advancing to, areas that are bigger concerns, thank you for your youthful approach and ideas. So definitely something
Well,
we
we
can all
just
work
learned that
on.
the character counts, what Carolyn
Yeah.
says, that the next generation emulates us.
Yep.
So we
Yep.
gotta get the adults to stop littering.
Yeah, really.
Maybe the
Yeah.
youth will follow suit behind us.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you
Very,
for
very
having
much.
me.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you
You
very
gotta
much.
step it up.
I can't wait for lunchtime for my grandkids to get tired from using the bucket to pick up trash. I can't wait.
Just Keisha and daycare.
We'll be first.
Do you need anything official from us? We're
I
good?
don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
All right.
All right, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you.
for having me.
All right, up next, fiscal year 23 agency contributions.
All I can say is I'm away for a week or two, and then they put me behind a fabulous presentation like that. It's hard to follow something so positive and sit at the table and talk budget. That'll teach me, you're
This is a
right.
positive thing.
Well, everybody kind of cringes when we say budget, so I just,
This is being nice.
this is good, this is
This
a
is
good
nice
part of it,
stuff.
right? So I cannot believe we're sitting here and going to be talking about fiscal year 23 budget, because we are in the midst of working on our fiscal year 21 audit right now and the completion of our comprehensive annual financial report. So, but it is October, and per our policy, we have to meet and discuss once a year. And at this time, our policy includes 8 core agencies that we guarantee funding to on an annual basis, as long as funding is included in the budget and approved. In addition to the number of the agencies identified, we also need to go ahead and set the total dollar amount that you want me to include in the budget. And it has been at $205,000 for the past several years since we first did this. There's been a couple years where we've exceeded it because we have done additional pledges above and beyond what we normally give. Fiscal year 23 will be the first year that we do not still have any of those other obligations. So for instance, in fiscal year 21, we had a $100,000 pledge we did to the Maryland Theater, so it reduced what we were able to give to all the other agencies. So with this obligation, the final obligation being met, we'll be able to restore pretty much funding for everybody back to where it was about 4 years ago. So the 2 big questions that I have this evening are just, I'm so sorry, is if we wish to continue to leave the 8 identified agencies, or if we wish to make changes. I know that after we approved the fiscal year 21 budget, we had one organization in the heart of the Civil War heritage area come in, and we did provide monies to them, and we took it away from the other agencies in order to do that. And when we had that conversation, I think that was in June of this calendar year, actually. Man, time does fly. But we didn't discuss whether or not we wanted to, at that point, make them a core agency or not, which would mean that they would be on this list and they would continue to receive some amount on an ongoing basis. So first and foremost, 8 agencies, 9 agencies, no agencies. Is there any changes to this number? And this is just, again, it's preliminary to give us guidance on what we're going to bring back at the point of budget. Whomever is identified as an agency receives a letter from us in November. That is an application, that is the policy that says, hey, we're getting ready to do this, and sets the deadline, the first or second Friday in January, to send all their information back, including financial statements and audit.
I think we add the heritage area.
I do too. I would like to recommend that, or to add the Heart of the Civil War Heritage area. So 9 agencies,
Okay,
unless someone says no to one of the 8.
is everybody good with that?
I don't know.
Is everyone else okay with adding them? How much did we give them this year? It was,
I think it was 7,200.
Why?
It was like taking 900 away from each of all the others.
because for me, I view these as an entity that's providing almost a quasi-governmental or integral city-based service. So if you pick Maryland Food Bank or part of the Civil War Heritage Area, you could pick 642 nonprofits in Washington County.
They
So
do
for me,
give us
I
access to
try
a
like-
lot of grant money, though,
They
that
do.
we wouldn't normally have access to.
But you could make the argument CASA provides some service to the community, you know, in such a
Different
direct
service.
manner. You could provide, you could say that about CAC, who gets, you know, millions of dollars. So all I'm saying is, you could make that tangible argument on any, probably hundreds of nonprofits that provide a service in some manner within the city of Hagerstown.
And so as a background, prior to 2014, when we developed the policy, we actually listed the agencies. What would happen is, we would sit here in April, and we would spend a lot of time discussing all of the agencies that we included, because there was a lot at that time. There was CASA, there was CAC, there was a host of them. And the administration at that point, we spent a lot of time.
It's also important to note that that was also at the time when a lot that were on got on and stayed on.
Right.
So there would be a preference from time to time of one specific agency or another for one specific reason or another, or interest of members or another, and then they wouldn't go off. So you'd say, hey, I need 10,000 this year for X item, right? Well, then the next year would come along, you just do another 10,000 because they were on the list.
Yes.
And somebody may add another one, and you say, okay, well, that one's been on a while, let's decrease them a little so we can add this other one. And it was a very arbitrary process of preferential treatment, where once you got on, you were just on. And so I'll ask the same question about the Heart of Civil War Heritage Area I asked about the Maryland Food Bank, when then Councilmember Munson, I believe, got that one on. Is, if we put them on, are they on? You know, are they just gonna stay on in perpetuity, and if so, for what reason?
I think, in my mind, it would stay on while they provide value.
Again, I could make that argument.
If they stop providing value, I don't think they should stay on.
How do you get on? How does
Like, yeah, like what are the guidelines to
how do
like?
you get on this
Right,
list? to
like why
become
not
a-
CAC and why not CASA? You know, why were they
Oh,
removed?
you could add all of them that you want.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I think that if we're not deciding like why, what, is it they provide a service? Is it because they provide grant opportunities? Is it because, you know, why do we have these?
Because when we had that list at that time, I think we looked at it and said, okay, the Washington County Free Library, that's providing almost a service-oriented item to the community in a broad fashion.
Okay? And CASA does not necessarily fit that, like,
I mean, CASA
that
provides a
description.
service to a very specific
Correct.
group of individuals within the community.
Correct.
Right.
And so does the heritage area, the Civil War Heritage area. No, I'm sorry, like the library,
Mhm.
broad.
Yeah, I mean, look, this body can make the argument for any group at once at any point. No different than it did with the Maryland Food Bank did, and then that one went by the wayside for reasons that it did, because of political preference. And so,
So why not add nine, or why not add them?
listen, you guys can add whoever you want.
I asked, how do
But-
how
but
did they get?
I
how do
could
you
make
get
the
on list?
legitimate argument if any one of those groups came in.
How do you get
So-
on the list?
You come in and make a request.
Oh.
Okay, so,
And you need a 4 vote, right, or a majority vote by this group.
To get on the list.
If it's going to be
But
added as a
If
court.
it's gonna be
if it's-
added to the list.
And this
If it's
stays
going to be
every
added as a
year.
core agency. The only thing is we do this policy like once a year. The other thing I will say is the $205,000, $195,000 is a lump for the 8 identified agencies that we put in the policy, with $10,000 as a mayor and council contingency, meaning throughout the year, or as other things come up, or as something like this were to happen, and you want it to give to somebody without adding them as a permanent identified agency that was going to get guaranteed funding, you still could. And so that's what we're trying to decide tonight, whether or not 8 agencies, or if you want to add one or take one off. And then the total amount of 205, if everybody is still good with that, and if we're good with the way we have that allocated. And we historically did more for the identified agencies and left a little bit in contingency because one of the goals expressed by administration at the time that we did this policy was to hopefully, to prevent agencies coming in like once a month or once every 2 weeks so that it could be done all collectively at one time.
I'd like to add the Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember Rucci? Adam?
You know, I mean, I see the list you have here, and I see the total number, 195 over these 8 agencies. I don't see a breakdown as to how much each agency receives, but I know that Community Rescue Service gets 40.
36.
36, yeah.
And they'll get a little bit more now that we have 100,000. In the past, this group per policy has identified the agencies and the lump sums, like the lump sum of how much to give to the core agencies and the dollar amount to leave as a contingency. I will bring back a list March 31st or April 1st in the budget, look up the breakdown. And typically it's stayed the same.
Because they requested.
Yes,
Right.
and most of them request more than they get. Like, for instance, the Maryland Theater always gets $9,000.
So,
Except for a particular year.
Yes, 9,000 normal for their normal annual operating to spend for other things, and then 100,000 was a very specific pledge for the expansion.
is there a percentage that we can utilize ARPA funds for tourism?
Say that one more time, for what?
ARPA funds for tourism?
Yes.
For
Is there a
tourism.
percentage that's, yeah?
It depends, it has to be very specific, and yes, ARPA, one of the categories that can be utilized towards is tourism, but there has to be a whole multitude of other criteria, things that they meet. But this, just to be clear, this isn't ARPA funding, this is
Oh, I
literally.
understand that.
our
I'm
general
just
fund.
trying to find a
Okay.
way to maybe not use taxpayer funds to fund these, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, I mean, Community Rescue Service will not qualify for ARPA funds like their tourism.
No, and
But
when you give
for
money,
band would, Maryland Symphony Orchestra would.
we'd have to be very careful, and we'd have to decide that we were gonna set aside a set dollar amount. We'd have to have an entire program, we'd have to have a different application process. We'd have to have sub-recipient agreements. We'd have to have a lot more documentation and very specifics on they're utilizing it specifically to address or mitigate COVID. Only because it's federal funds. I mean, there's a lot more strings and restrictions.
I'm pretty sure
When you-
COVID's not going away, I'm sure.
When you reach out to these organizations, are you going to require a copy of their budget and like what percentage of the
Yes,
budget it is?
that is actually one of the things, and if you look on the attached policy, we tried to keep the policy as small as possible, because sometimes these groups, you know, they do a lot, and they're writing for grants and other things, so we try to make this as simplified, as concise as possible, but yes, that is one of the things that we request. And we do get copies of their financial statements if they don't have an independent third-party audit. Otherwise, we get it as well.
I think that's important to see, because like the Hagerstown Municipal Band, we are their entire budget.
Correct.
So making a cut to them would be detrimental to an organization that's been here for 100 years.
Correct.
Maybe not so much in.
And it's hard to sit here and do and to get into the agencies and get into the specific dollar amounts all beforehand. So it was meant that in October, we'd have a more abbreviated, summarized conversation, but if, as part of this in October, if we want to do a second meeting in October, or do one in September, one in October. And this group provide very specifically how you want this breakdown to be by agency. We can change the policy and make that happen too, if that's your wish. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to do the 205,000, and 205,000 out of the general fund budget of 43 to 45 million. So it's not like you're giving city administrator Nicewater or myself, access to go really crazy in the budget, and you still approve it, and we still will discuss it as a budget topic.
So are we adding the
So,
Civil War?
I guess, for me, do we make that available? Because I hear us saying, hey, we're gonna talk about this in generalities, right? And then we may have a second conversation in generalities. But nowhere in that conversation did we say to any other entity that exists in this community that provides services in some manner to this city that functions as an entity, hey, I want to let you know we're coming up, we're discussing this, if you got a need and you got a request, make sure you get it in, right?
Correct, there's no
I just want to
public
make sure
notice.
before we talk about having a second conversation,
No, because in
that's what we're going to
14,
say.
because in 14, you guys did this.
Right,
Listen,
because you said that there were a
I'm not
bunch of them
deviating
on
from
there.
this. What I'm saying is if we're going to, and we're talking about a second conversation, are we reaching out and saying, hey, everybody, we're going to deviate from this. Everybody, we're going to deviate from this. If anybody has a request they'd like to get in, please get it in to us.
I would recommend that if we make a policy change of that magnitude, that we do it, it's horrible to do it at the beginning of our budget process, but I almost feel like we would have to start in February and March, and we would have to work on changing this policy and how we want that communication to go out. And are we opening it to every single nonprofit? And then are we having a different committee narrow those down, or am I bringing every last entry back to this body? Because I know it's very good to be open and transparent, but we are going to be flooded. You are going to be flooded if we bring all those back. So what I'm saying there is it would take more than one extra meeting. We'd have to, you tell me what you want the policy to be, how you want the procedure to be, and then if we open it up like that, we need to open it up, allow everybody time, put out some type of a notice, receive all the applications, and work our way through them.
I think before, I think one thing to make sure that I think was in the spirit of what this is it is a core community function.
And quasi-governmental agency is.
Quasi-governmental, so that if I went on the website and I was looking at departments, I could literally think that I could find HNDP as a department of the city, but it's not. But it serves a quasi-governmental function that the city supports, right? I just don't think opening this up to all nonprofits really serves that function. If that's what this agency contribution is supposed to address.
So I guess I felt like when we had that discussion about, so the Heart of Civil War area comes in and says, hey, we've got these limitations, we need X funding, and we've always provided flexibility within this to
Yes,
address
Right.
Yes.
You've got a
those
contingency,
instances when they
yep.
arise.
Right.
yes.
Mhm.
But that isn't what I hear what we're talking about right now.
Oh, no, I'm still saying that's the flexibility.
Oh, yeah.
You can leave 8 core agencies, right?
Right.
And then you can come down to the funding and change this $205,000 around. What I would ask tonight is that coming into the new budget cycle, that we not change the total lump sum of $205,000, that we try to be reasonable and leave that amount, because it becomes a very difficult process, even in a $43 million budget.
Okay.
But you can certainly change those. We could make the 8 core agencies identified in the policy be $150,000, and the balance be decided at this level. And then we'd have to, however you wanted
Right.
the word to go out, however you wanted to do that, or if you wanted to wait to be approached, is what we've done in the past.
Right.
We're still offering that flexibility.
Right.
So it really is 2 questions. Do we leave 8 agencies? Yes or no? Because per the policy, it's what I'm supposed to come back and just take the majority vote. And then two, what is the total lump sum amount? If we want to deviate from this policy and change it, we won't have enough time to make it be effective for what goes out in November for this coming up budget cycle.
So I think the easiest question is, are you guys okay with 2 at 5 first? The amount of money, is that what we're budgeting for this year?
Yes, I'm okay with 2
And
and 5.
keeping it
Yes.
at 8.
Okay.
8 core agencies.
8, or do you want to add the, I keep getting the name wrong.
I know, I keep
Part of the Civil War
yes.
heritage.
Are you adding it just to help them out this year?
It's not really helping them out, though. It's more like,
They
again,
wanna
they
make it a
provide.
perm, they wanna make it number 9.
That's what I'm asking.
That's what they wanna
And
do.
if that's the case, then we're changing the policy, and everybody
Okay,
in this city should get equal opportunity
okay, I got you.
to have an awareness that we're changing the policy.
That's
I
right.
got you.
If we're just helping them out, I'm cool with that for a year, you know what I mean?
No,
But
it's
I don't
not.
feel like
I don't
that's
think
what we're
it's
doing.
not
or that's
helping
what I'm
them
being
That's
asked
not
to
how
do.
that's not what they're looking for.
Correct.
They're looking for a contribution every single year to that agency, because that agency brings a lot of grant money into this community.
And helps, right.
I hear it, and what I'm saying is there's a couple of hundred others out there that can make that same.
I'm not arguing with you, Krista.
Right. I'm not arguing.
And I'm-
I kind of am.
So 8, yes, Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
The 8 core currently?
8,
Yes.
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 okay, that's majority.
Yeah, don't go around. Stop.
Okay,
Stop
we
right
got
there.
3.
Let me advise you to stop right there.
Okay, and then everybody's good with the lump sum of 205,000.
Yes.
Do we need to differentiate the split? Councilmember Rucci?
Go down the table.
I'm gonna say yes for now, but I know we're gonna have this discussion again in March.
Yep.
The 205?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I
Yeah,
know we're gonna have
majority.
this discussion again.
Yes, so just realize you're giving me a high level
Right,
of what
right,
to do,
right.
and I'm gonna bring you back.
Right.
Just, and the budget itself is gonna be hundreds of millions when you do citywide. How much time and effort you wanna spend, and if there's changes you wish to make specifically here.
Yeah.
We will talk about agency funding.
Just be careful if you think about using ARPA funds for any of this. We only have ARPA for 2 years.
Yeah.
So
That's
after
100%
that
correct.
second year, we're gonna have to bring it out of a general fund, or we're gonna have to decrease the amount.
And I'm still waiting to see what we're putting in the general fund reserve this year.
And for my information, in March, we'll discuss how much
And-
will go into each of the.
Yes, so March 31st, you'll get the budget book. There's a whole chart that's dedicated just for it. You'll see these 8 agencies, and you'll see a line that just says contingency.
Okay.
And yes, so throughout April and May, if you want to switch it around, or the allocation isn't quite right, or whatever, we can still do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, your backup, city acquisition of property.
We're not, I understand.
Okay.
So, hello, I'm going to stay here this evening, and I'm Doug's assistant, so if I don't hit all of the key, most important points, I'm very sorry. But we have a unique opportunity we wanted to bring forth this evening and discuss, and that is the purchase of a building at 32 North Potomac Street. This building is the very iconic and very well-known M&T building, which is, just a few doors down from City Hall. Again, one of the reasons that this acquisition that we're bringing it forth is it's consistent with Marion City Council goals for long-term investments to benefit the citizens of Hagerstown. But also, what we're looking to do is utilize it for city operations. It provides us a very unique opportunity on the first floor, close to where we already have our existing City Hall governmental customer service, to move our customer service to that building and be able to enhance and provide better, more efficient options. We're going to be able to utilize a drive-through. We're going to be able to do things that will allow more social distancing. A lot of times in the middle of a pandemic, if any event happens and we have to close our building, it's very difficult. It also provides a drop box that is a much more readily handicap and accessible drop box than what we got right now, which is on the side of the building. You have to come up the steps and there's not any parking spaces, and we hear complaints about that. But again, just a very unique opportunity to provide and enhance our city operations, also very close and convenient to where we're already servicing those customers. At the same time, there's a second floor, an upstairs area, that we would also be suggesting and recommending we use for city operations. And this would include, at this point, the city's Department of Community and Economic Development staff. This would allow us to free up space in Elizabeth Hager Center, which is another building right across the central parking lot. It is very conveniently located in the central parking lot, which the city already owns. We are anticipating that the acquisition costs that we could fund with American Rescue Act funding. And I think I'm gonna turn it over to Doug to talk specifics, and then we'll give you a chance to ask questions.
So there's a copy of the draft sales contract in your packet. There's a study period for 60 days to work with the architect to confirm the city's satisfaction with the building. And this sales contract does recognize the timeline for the city adoption of the ordinance for purchase. The contract purchase price would be $125,000 with a $2,000 security deposit. The ATM will actually stay in the building and be relocated to the front near Potomac Street facing. And the city will enter into a lease agreement with M&T for the ATM. The ATM lease terms would be an initial 3-year term with 6 2-year options for a total of 15 years. Rent would be $400 or $4,800 annually for the first 3 years, and increase 3% for each option period thereafter, and include $50 a month for electric costs, bringing the total $5,400 paid by M&T to the city each year. And M&T will pay for the restoration of the exterior of the building and interior spaces where the ATM is located upon the termination of the lease. We're seeking mayor and council support to bring this to a special session for next week to a vote. With your support, we're here for any questions.
And again, it's a wonderful opportunity for our customers. You know, it's ever changing. One of the things, and I shouldn't talk about it now, but one of the things that we're trying to do is also enhance customer service by looking at kiosk stations, which has been a goal of this administration. Unless something comes back different from the architect, this is going to allow and enable that as well. And we're super excited to be able to do something different for our customers other than our very small congested lobby area that we have right now, which is downstairs. It's laid out very conveniently. There's a save, the drive-through, and it enables us to partner with M&T and keep that ATM machine downtown, because they were one of the last few remaining ones downtown. I mean, we still have one in the Fulton Bank that is located downtown, but I know there's changes coming there as well. So very important, and again, enables us to, you know, make that partnership with M&T and be able to still provide that service to customers who are so accustomed to it, because it's utilized quite a bit.
That would just leave, when DCED moves out of the second floor of the Elizabeth Hager Center, that would just leave the TV studio up there. We would look to relocate the TV studio using PEG money to the lobby downstairs. Gets it right next to the technology, where the technology, the servers, the switches and everything are. Really would be a nice opportunity to expand that studio and have a little bit more space for them to work. So that would basically get us entirely out of having operations in the Hager Center.
And by having a studio available in the same building as City Hall, it would also allow this group to utilize it more, especially Tuesday afternoons or Tuesday evenings right after Mayor Council, for Mayor Council wraps or other things.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? We can TikTok. You guys good?
Yes. Yeah.
Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. City Administrator.
I have no comments tonight, Mayor.
All right. Lakeisha?
No comments. Thank you.
Kristen?
Just one comment, just looking for an update at some point of our, or my comments on a request for conversation with the Board of Education.
Wow.
on our two high schools that are in the city.
Work on that.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Oh, no, so I attended the Harvest Hoedown this past Saturday at the fairgrounds. It was really, really great to see so many people there. There was food, activities, there was like a laser tag. My niece got a chance to ride a pony. There was popcorn. It was really, really great, great event. So thanks, Hagerstown Parks and Recs. Where did Eric go? And also, on Saturday, was at City Park. My oldest nephew went to homecoming, because this past weekend was homecoming weekend. And it was packed with so many kids. And just a reminder how pretty the City Park is, that, you know, there's all the kids in front of the museum, just all across the entire park. We walked from the beginning all the way to the end. It was just parents galore. The kids look really, really nice, and I hope they had a great time. But just a reminder just how beautiful our parks are. That's all.
Thank you.
Real quick, getting a lot of compliments about Pangborn Park and the new lake, and so I think that was a great project, and I think it's going to have a long-lasting effect in that area. And also wish my wife a very happy birthday today. Will not say how old she is, but she's younger than me, so I'll put it that way.
I hope you tell her when you get home, too.
60 years.
Yeah, this is the only time, if she's not watching, she's
I know, I'm just hoping that you
Yeah.
actually tell her when you see her tonight.
Maybe. So she's 21.
Are we gonna do a dedication?
I
for-
told her happy birthday when I brought her coffee this morning, okay?
That was so nice of you.
Yes.
Are we gonna do a dedication for the Pangborn Park, like for Lou's sign or anything?
Rodney did send me a picture of it before I had a chance to go out there, and I did send it to him, and just,
I don't know if
you
there
know,
was something
let
that
him
was
know that it
official
was
that we
up.
could do, like a, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if anything can beat what we did when the day he retired, though.
That's true,
I
it was
don't-
beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Well, maybe we could, take a bottle of champagne.
Oh, yeah.
Pop it out there to the administration.
You know.
Okay.
Who are you? That's awesome. I have nothing.
All right.
So, TikTok.
I just have a couple of things. One, speaking of Pangborn Park, I attended the neighborhood's first cookout on Thursday, so thanks to everyone who came to that and for staff for putting it together. And then over the last couple days, I've been at the MML Fall Conference learning about municipal government. MML is the Maryland Municipal League. And I just thought it was worth noting on camera on this microphone that the largest topic of conversation for the entire 3 days was police. And we keep hearing we're losing officers, we're losing officers, we're losing officers. Every single municipality is down a significant amount of officers. It was to the point where at one of the events last night that it was kind of getting ugly between some of the municipalities who were going back and forth about, stop stealing my officers, stop stealing my officers. I joked with the mayor of Frederick about stop stealing my officers, but ours was friendly. But this is not specific to Hagerstown, and I recognize that we got to do something to keep guys and girls and get some more in, but I don't see this ending well for the state of Maryland at all. And I just think as much as we hear things and we have concerns, literally every single municipality, the only mayor who said they're not having problems is Ocean City. And I think that kind of speaks for itself. So I just wanted to put that out there, that was really a topic of conversation, and we are not in any way, shape, or form alone. It's bad.
We're all in the same boat.
We are all in the same boat, from municipalities that have 1,200 people to the large ones like us. And lastly, I just wanted to send condolences to Paul Wood, our former police chief, to the family of Paul Wood, our former police chief. He passed away last week. He was appointed chief in 1987 through 1993 when he retired. So just sending some love and condolences to his family. And with that, we are adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you.